Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. What President Obama failed to do, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. One thing about Barack Obama, he is a confident guy. He makes me look shy. Yesterday in Greece, he told the world that he did a heck of a job as president.
People seem to think I did a pretty good job. And so there is this mismatch, I think, between frustration and anger. Perhaps the view of the American people is that you just need to shake things up. I think I can make a pretty strong argument that the policies we put forward were the right ones, that we've grown faster than just about any advanced economy. The country is indisputably better off.
Now, Mr. Obama really believes what he says. In his mind, he kicked serious butt as president, and he has backup. The latest Gallup poll has the president's job approval rating at 57%, very strong number. However, some of his support is surely based on personal likability. But to be fair, he does deserve some policy credit for stabilizing the economy after the mortgage-backed securities fraud almost collapsed it. Also for helping Americans with severe health problems, so-called pre-existing conditions, and for conducting himself with class in the White House, as a recent meeting with Donald Trump demonstrated. But there are some very important things President Obama did not do in 8 years, things I hope President-elect Trump will consider. First, targeted tax cut for businesses, while at the same time phasing out deductions that drain tax receipts to the government. Mr. Trump's an expert at that, and he well understands that in order to rebuild the military and roads, bridges, etc., you need cash. Also, persuading corporations to bring the profits they are hoarding overseas back to invest in America would be a huge economic stimulator that would expand the economy and create well-paying jobs. If corporations would commit billions to expansion, the financial markets would go wild, and the USA would take on tremendous economic momentum. To be polite, President Obama does not understand macroeconomics and generally sees private business as an opponent of social justice. Now, on the individual tax front, surely a fair percentage can be worked out, with the goal being to allow American consumers to have more net income, more money in their pockets, another major economic stimulator. Barack Obama's philosophy is to give folks stuff rather than setting up a robust private marketplace so they can earn their stuff. Overseas, the Obama doctrine of containment through diplomacy has not worked, and the pain has been immense. Millions of refugees have flooded into Europe, some of them terrorists. The suffering of poor people in Syria and Iraq is cruel, cruel, all because Barack Obama does not act aggressively against the jihad. Talking Points has put forth a solution. NATO should formally declare war on Islamic terrorists, set up safe zones for refugees throughout the Middle East, and punish ISIS any way it can. Barack Obama would never, ever think of doing that. Way too confrontational. Finally, President-elect Trump should accept the Paris Treaty on Climate to buy some goodwill overseas. It doesn't really amount to much anyway. Let it go. Mr. Trump should also learn from Mr. Obama's mistakes. Most Americans want a robust economy and a vibrant national defense, including border protection. Donald Trump can make those two things happen. He will succeed in the toughest job in the world. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. With us here in New York City, Ebony Williams and Monica Crowley. So Monica, why do you think President Obama's job approval rating is 57%? That's on a par with Ronald Reagan at the same time when he was leaving office.
Yes, well, generally when presidents are leaving, if they're not consumed in a cloud of scandal or an unpopular war or something like Richard Nixon or George W. Bush, you get this nostalgic feeling of goodwill toward the outgoing president.
But how can that be true if Trump won the election based upon a repudiation of Hillary Clinton, whose policies were almost exactly the same as Barack Obama?
Yes, this was a direct rebuke of President Obama's policies.
Yeah, so they rebuked him in the vote, but they like him on paper.
Because, look, he was a charismatic guy. He was the first black president, and I think people feel the emotional pull of that. But something that Barack Obama has never understood is that while people had this favorable view toward him as the first black president, they completely rejected his policies. That was a disconnect that he never.
Why do you, Ebony, think that Barack Obama, despite the Democrats getting crushed, not only in the presidential election, But I learned today that there are only 5 states in the union that now have a Democratic mayor and a Democratic state legislature. Only 5.
Yeah.
All right?
That's right.
So, I mean, this was like, get rid of these people, but we like this guy to the tune of 57%. Can you explain it?
Yeah, obviously Americans are separating the man from his politics, clearly, because there's only 18 Democratic governors, I think, right now as well. So you could say that the Democratic Party has been completely rejected, but somehow, some way, Barack Obama has been able to separate it.
What is it?
Because many people do like him. You said it in the memo, Bill. He is a likable guy that many people still have favorable opinion of.
So you're saying it's personality driven.
Absolutely.
It's just
people
a personality
still like Barack
thing.
Obama the man.
All right.
Many people.
Now, I'm laying out a vision for the country, not for President Trump. All right. And I believe that if Trump can get 2 things done, and I mean quickly, not meandering around here, okay, you say, look, here's the economic stimulus, because they'll pass that. I mean, the tax cut for the business, but then you have to persuade the business to bring it back, the money back, and you're going to have to use a hammer there.
Well, no, not if you give them the incentive of a 15% corporate tax rate. That's a great incentive.
I might even go lower. I might even give them a grace period. If you do it in 2 months, you know, you can walk on in here, and if you promise
that's fine.
In writing to invest it here.
The first 100 days has to be a totally pro-growth economic program to get this economy rolling again.
Right.
Rebuilding the military, but I would also say filling that Supreme Court vacancy and repealing and replacing Obamacare.
Well, we assume that's going to happen, but the national security component is huge.
Sure.
I don't think President Trump's going to do the NATO thing, but to me, that's the quickest way. And if some country, Ebony, if I'm Secretary of State, frightening.
Really
and I go over and it wouldn't be Denmark because they're a little feisty, that country, but it might be somebody like you know, some Eastern Bloc country that says, well, we're not going to help you fight ISIS, and you're fired. I'd use The Apprentice. You're fired. You're out of NATO. Out. All right. And the ones that didn't help immediately, they'd have to pay their debt that day. Okay, you pay up. And they'd all do it. They'd all get and then we could protect these poor refugees.
Well, this is, Bill, where President-elect Trump does have a good position here. He's not someone that called ISIS the JV team. He's someone that can come into office with a high level of aggression on this. I've often said I
like that word, aggression.
Yeah, well, the chief criticism I have for President Obama as someone who did support him, lack of aggression on ISIS. That was a big no-no and a big mistake. Can I say this about your talking points memo, though, Bill? You politely said the president doesn't understand macroeconomics.
Correct.
He does.
I disagree. I think that he does. I think this is the case.
Okay, wait, stop. If you say politely, Ebony, that he understands macroeconomics, give me one thing that he did economically that stimulated the economy. One.
In 2010, at the State of the Union, he said that he wanted to double.
I don't care what he said. What did he do?
Well, he fell short. That was the point. You and Monica going down to love. He said he wanted to have 2 million jobs come back to America, bring the, have incentives against
Ebony,
China. He didn't do it. He left points on the board.
I can say I'm a Mensa member, okay?
You are, Bill.
It's not true. You couldn't give me one, Ebony. I'm going to give you another chance next week. I'll give you another chance. The man does not understand macroeconomics.
He made the right point. He left the points on the board, and I hope that President Trump can do it.
They're not hard. I got to go.
Okay, he does understand macroeconomics, capitalism in the private sector. He just rejects
all right, sabotage on purpose.
That's a different argument.
You're both loons, but we love you. Thank you very much. Next on the rundown, a showdown between New York City Mayor de Blasio, talking about loons, and President-elect Trump today. What happened? We'll tell you the inside story. Later, Dennis Miller, is he sympathetic at all to anti-Trump demonstrations? I suspect not. Those reports after these messages. Impact segment tonight, Trump versus the uber-liberal mayor Bill de Blasio here in New York City. As you may know, the nation's largest town falling apart, literally, with construction projects clogging almost every road in Manhattan, beggars all over the place, and a defiant mayor who says he will not cooperate with the federal government on illegal immigration, something he told Mr. Trump today.
And I reiterated to him, this city and so many cities around the country will do all we can to protect our residents and to make sure that families are not torn apart.
So what really happened in that closed-door meeting? Joining us now from outside Trump Tower, Fox News correspondent Doug McElway and Matt King, a reporter for Fox 5 here in New York City. All right, what's the inside story on this meeting, Mr. King?
Yeah, well, we should be clear. The mayor was not surprised when he walked out of this building early afternoon to see a dozen TV cameras and 25 reporters. This was a news conference he called and wanted everyone to come to and let everyone know about, seemingly for the sole purpose of telling all of us what he told Trump, which were his concerns for the next 4 years. Now, we have not heard anything from Trump, so we don't really know Trump's side of the story, what might have gone on in there. We do know that these two have a history of saying sort of nasty things about each other. Trump's called de Blasio the worst mayor in this city's history. De Blasio just 2 days ago encouraged the American people to continue protesting Trump's election, and in the past has said that he thought Trump was unfit to be president. In his little news conference earlier, de Blasio acknowledged that they were very, very different people with very, very different beliefs and philosophies on governing, so it can't have been totally civil, but he did say, de Blasio did, that it was productive, and he hopes this continues, that the ball's in Trump's court.
Okay, well, I think the ball's going to bounce off the mayor's head because I know Trump is not going to allow a guy like Bill de Blasio to defy him. He's just not. Now, Doug, are you hearing anything about what might have come out of the Trump camp? We've tried all day to get something. They're really tight about this. They're not making any comments at all.
They are tight as a tick about this. No word is escaping from the inner circle about what this meeting happened. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall. That said, here's a fact for you, Bill, that you should take into consideration. I hearken back to the WikiLeaks release from the late stages of the campaign, the John Podesta emails. This guy is considered insufferable, even in his own party, by many members of his own party.
You're talking about the mayor now. You're talking about the mayor.
Talking about Mayor
Right.
de Blasio. Yes, quote, the near attendant email to John Podesta reads, quote, I find him to be a bit insufferable. That from a May 2015 email. She said, sorry if I let my extreme annoyance show you. So what's going on here is that old theory about keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. I equate it in some respects to the whole system of microaggressions on college campuses today and the need to seek safe spaces. To Bill de Blasio, Donald Trump is one gigantic macro aggression, and Bill de Blasio is the college counselor who's providing safe space to all these progressives.
But he's going to pay a price.
Of the most progressive, if not the most progressive city in the country.
He's going to pay a price, Mayor de Blasio is, because, again, I do not believe the Trump administration is going to allow these mayors, not only in New York, but in Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, to do what they want to do and defy. I do not believe that's going to happen.
Bill, there's one other consideration.
Go ahead,
One
real
other
quick.
consideration, if you got time here, a very practical consideration, and the fact is that the city is incurring lots and lots of costs from the security, whether it be protecting this building here or following marchers through town to make sure that they don't turn into rioters. That's going to cost the city an awful lot of money, and I suspect he may be seeking federal help.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Directly ahead, some college students walk out of class today protesting something. We're not exactly sure what, but it does have to do with President-elect Trump. Then later, LeBron James accusing New York Knicks president Phil Jackson of a racist comment. Where do you hear this? Upcoming. Back to follow-up segment tonight. As we reported last night, there are some open-border pro-immigrant groups organizing anti-Trump demonstrations across the country. One of them is Movement Cosecha, which fights for, quote, permanent protection, dignity, and respect for the 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States, unquote. Today, a bunch of college students walked out of classes to demand sanctuary for illegal immigrants on campus. At least that was part of the beef. And joining us now from Washington, Ellie Smith, editor-in-chief of one of George Washington University newspapers, and from Boston, Liam Knox, the news editor at the Tufts Daily. So, Knox, begin with you, because people at your school did walk out of class today. What was the point? What's the point they're trying to get across?
All right, well, thanks for having me, Bill. First of all, I just want to say, referring to these students, these immigrants, as illegal immigrants is, I think, a little inaccurate. People can't be illegal. Their actions can be illegal. These are undocumented students, undocumented immigrants.
Let me stop you there.
I'll answer your question now, though.
Wait, Mr. Knox, let me stop you there.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
You are a journalist. You're the editor of the newspaper. Surely you know.
I'm one of the news editors.
Or whatever it is, you're practicing journalism at Tufts University. Surely
That's
you
right,
know
yeah.
There is a federal law that prohibits people from crossing into this country without proper certification or overstaying their visas once they are granted that.
I don't think you totally understood what I said. I think I'm saying that people can't be illegal. So
they commit illegal acts, therefore they are branded illegal aliens.
Yeah, but that branding is a little dehumanizing.
Now that's not for you to say.
Today.
As a reporter, that is not for you to say. If you're writing an editorial,
I think it's the job of all reporters to say.
No, it is not.
I think that media.
You're going to flunk your journalism class, Liam. You're supposed to report the facts. Now, what are the facts of kids walking out of Tufts today? Why are they doing it?
I'll tell you what the facts are. I can tell you that, and I stand by my previous comments too. So this isn't just about protesting Donald Trump. At Tufts and at other universities, a lot of these movements are about pressuring institutions to uphold their sort of. A lot of them have issued statements post-election about their unwavering values. A lot of rhetoric has come out about sort of sticking to the liberal values, sort of sticking to protecting undocumented students, specifically at Tufts. Students were asking Tufts to designate the campus a sanctuary campus, which would mean actual practical implications.
All right, so people from foreign countries, people from foreign countries would then take up residence in some of the dorms and not pay the $60,000 tuition that you guys have to pay.
That is a ridiculous way. That's not it at all.
If they're sanctuary campuses, they're going to come in and they're going to have to live, right?
It's not for anyone. It's for students. It's for faculty working on campus. It's for janitorial staff. It's for members of the Tufts community.
So everybody gets some of the sanctuary pie. All right. Ms. Smith, now what about you yesterday at George Washington? Why did the students walk out there?
GW students were part of this national movement, like you said, and they took 15 demands to our administration, and they were a variety of things, but mostly asking officials and administrators to support marginalized student populations and multicultural student populations.
But what does that mean, though, specifically? They want scholarships, free tuition for whom?
They were just asking that the financial aid office supports undocumented immigrant students, and that the Multicultural Student Services Center gets increased funding, some other general things like that to support those types of students.
They want, at George Washington, again, not like Tufts, expensive place to go to school, they want free tuition for illegal alien students that don't have proper documentation to be here?
There was nothing as specific as that. It was more of a general call for the university to be a sanctuary, as Mr. Knox from Tufts said.
But I don't understand what the sanctuary entails. What does it entail?
I have details if you'd like them, Bill.
Yeah, okay, go.
Sure. So some of the things the sanctuary entails is that the university would do everything in its power to protect the safety of its undocumented students and workers, which means refusing to cooperate with immigration officials who want to conduct deportations or investigations.
All right, like a sanctuary city, okay. What else?
Yes. Exactly like a sanctuary city, but on a campus. Because it's a private institution, they can do that without state law having to get involved.
All right.
It also I think is a lot of it's about the rhetoric that came out of the Trump campaign, and a lot of it's I think the media and politicians on both sides of the issue tend to politicize undocumented immigrants and their issues rather than talk about them. I think for a lot of students that I spoke to today, it's a very human issue. I have friends who are undocumented. They have friends who are undocumented. They're legitimately scared that they're going to be deported from the country.
Do you believe, Mr. Knox, in open borders, that anybody should be able to come in here at any time?
Well, here's the key thing about
yes
this.
Yes or no, Mr. Knox? Open borders. Yes or no?
I have not done my research on open borders, but this isn't about open borders. Do you believe in open borders?
Anybody come in here anytime?
I'm not commenting on that. I'm just here to tell you what happened on GW's campus.
All right, guys, we appreciate it very much.
But there is an issue about DAP.
I gotta go. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening. Does Dennis Miller hold any sympathy for those demonstrating against President-elect Trump? We'll find that out. But next, basketball superstar LeBron James angry with New York Knicks president Phil Jackson over a word he used. The story will stun you. We hope you stay tuned for those reports. Personal Story segment tonight, a racial controversy in the National Basketball Association. Speaking to ESPN, the president of the New York Knicks, Phil Jackson, said this about basketball superstar LeBron James, who years ago asked for special treatment while a member of the Miami Heat. Jackson said, quote, and Pat Reilly, who has iron fist rules, answers, you are on the plane, you are with this team. You cannot hold up the whole team because you and your mom and your posse want to spend an extra night in Cleveland, unquote. After hearing that, Mr. James said this.
I just don't believe that Phil Jackson would have used that same term. He was doing business with someone else, you know, working with another team, or if he was working with anybody in sports that was owning the team that wasn't African American and that had a group of guys around him that he didn't agree with what they did. I don't think he would have called him a posse.
Now, some other basketball players like Carmelo Anthony agree with Mr. James. According to the Urban Dictionary, however, posse is defined as, quote, your crew, gang, set, team, or group of friends. Now, when I heard that, I was confused. I know Phil Jackson a little bit. He's a very liberal man who would never insult anyone based on race or anything else, I don't think. I myself have used the word posse and didn't know it is now considered offensive in some African-American precincts. Joining us now from Bristol, Connecticut, Stephen A. Smith, host of ESPN's First Take. So you don't think Jackson used the term posse to denigrate Mr. James, do you?
Well, I think he tries to tweak everybody, you know, from time to time. There's no question about it. Certainly the word racist shouldn't be associated with Phil Jackson. He's as liberal as they come in some respects, or bigoted or anything like that. No one needs to go that far. But at the same time, when he articulates the word posse, he's basically looking at a guy like LeBron James and his crew of young men, and he clearly is looking at them in a different light as far as they're concerned, not respecting who they are as businessmen. In the case of Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, along with that of others like J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson, Ben Simmons, the #1 overall pick in the draft, and others. He's a bona fide agent in this business. Maverick Carter, another right-hand man of LeBron James, big-time marketing guy, really does a lot for LeBron James on the marketing side. Of course, their personal friends, Randy, as well. And so you take all of those things into consideration. You look at a lot of
But I don't understand the word. You know, Elvis. You know, remember Elvis Presley? I'm sure you do. He
of course, I remember Elvis.
He had the Memphis Mafia. And I remember doing a report on that way back, and I referred to them as Elvis's posse, okay? And nobody said anything. Nobody was objected to it. So when I heard the word posse, now posse has a racial overtone? What is that? I don't understand what it is.
No. It's not about the fact that it has a racial overtone. It's about the fact that in certain cases, it comes across that way to an African-American like LeBron James, who goes out of his way to be recognized as an elite businessman, not just as a big-time star athlete.
He saw the word posse as running down his business associates?
Well, because of his friends who are business partners and have established themselves as bona fide executives, as bona fide guys. And I'm sorry, what did you say, Bill?
Don't you think that's a bit overly sensitive?
No, because it's Phil Jackson and he knows better. Under normal circumstances, I agree with you. But in the case of Phil Jackson, who coached Michael Jordan, never said that, who coached Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, never said that, who's been around a plethora of African Americans and are friends with a lot of these guys, he kind of knows better than doing something like that, which is why LeBron James took it that way.
If I use the word posse in the context of an African American, am I saying something racist?
No, it's not at all. Exactly. You're not. Listen, Phil Jackson is coaching these guys, knows these guys, knows what they're sensitive to, knows what they're not, knows what challenges they face, etc. You're doing your television show. You're not hanging out with these guys.
I'm trying to be very cool.
Nobody would take it that way, Bill O'Reilly.
I'm listening to Jay-Z. I'm trying to get all the jargon down.
How's that coming for you? How's that coming along?
It's coming slow, Stephen. It's coming slow. All right, now, last week we had a conversation about Colin Kaepernick and what I would do, and we didn't get to finish it. I want to finish it tonight. We learned today that Colin Kaepernick has never registered to vote in his entire life, okay? And you criticized him rightly for that. If you're going to be a civil rights demonstrator or whatever, you really should participate in the process. He disagrees, Kaepernick. He says, I hate the process, so I'm not participating. That's his right. But if I'm the owner of the San Francisco 49ers, currently 1 win and 8 losses, I'm saying to Mr. Kaepernick, you're damaging my business because the paying customers overwhelmingly believe you're being disrespectful to your country, and they see it another way. So I'm going to give you a private forum on Tuesday to vent anything you want to vent. If a reporter like Stephen Smith wants to come in and interview, he can. And then before the game, you don't have to come out of the locker room until after the national anthem. Because when you come out and you kneel down, you're offending my customers, the team's customers, and I don't want you to do that. I think that's eminently reasonable. Go.
Well, it's eminently reasonable coming from you, and I understand that, and me too, because I'm a capitalist personified. I certainly can relate. But here's the reality. You're wrong on a couple of fronts. Number one, it's not just about his right to do it. It's about his right to do it in the NFL. Because unlike the NBA, which has a stance where you can't do that, Commissioner David Stern, former Commissioner David Stern of the NBA, had that issue with Mahmoud Rauf back in the 90s. He told him to just stay in the locker room, don't come outside. Similar to the kind of stuff that you're talking about here. In the case of the NFL, they encourage you to stand for the national anthem, but they don't mandate it. So he was in violation of no league rules.
I
and
agree
if you're
with
not
you.
in violation of any league rules,
He's
you're not in violation of anything.
Rules. But if I'm
That's
the
right.
owner of the team, if it's my business and I'm writing the check to a salaried employee, I have the right to tell him, don't offend our customers. That's capitalism. Last word.
Hold on, wait a minute. You're right as it pertains to some customers, but other customers might not find it offensive at all.
It's my judgment as the owner of the company.
It's a judgment. Okay, well, then you do have the right to do that.
Right.
He has the right to capitulate or not, but then you might suffer consequences as well because you've offended customers by not allowing him to exercise his inalienable rights as an American citizen.
It's my business, and I'll take that chance. And the Niners are 1-8, and they're not going anywhere with this whole crazy thing.
I understand that.
All right, Mr. Smith, always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you. Good debate. Is Dennis Miller sympathetic to those demonstrating against President-elect Trump? We will ask him. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Miller Time segment tonight, the political fallout from the election of Donald Trump. Joining us now from Santa Barbara, the sage of Southern California, Dennis Miller. Miller, were you online when I was talking to the two college students from Tufts and George Washington? Did you hear that at all?
No, Billy, I missed that. I'm sorry. Were they illuminating the youngsters?
Well, they articulated why the kids walked out of class, the students, because they want a sanctuary campus, but then it got a little fuzzy after what that would be and whether they want open borders. It got real fuzzy.
Well, Billy,
go ahead.
You know, Bill, it's a good thing. The silver lining is our education system's so much crap in this country now. The kids can walk out and they're not actually missing anything. So that's the way I choose to look at it.
Well, you and I cut classes for entirely different reasons.
Yeah,
but, you know,
listen, kids have become old souls already. They've turned into cranky old whiny people with goiters. It seems to be the 16-year-olds of the country. I, conversely, spent the entire day basking in the glorious glow of crude nationalism, just to watch Juan Williams melt down and make all those I don't understand faces. I always thought it would be delish. I didn't know it would be this delish. Every day as I watch them unfold on the left, it's like Bill Mazeroski hits his homer in the ninth around 10 times a day for me. It's beautiful.
So you're gloating, Miller, about the election. You're actually gloating.
For God's sake, Bill. Yeah, okay, if you want to call it that. All I know is they're not doing themselves any good. Uppercase Democrats are now being asked to be lowercase Democratic, and they're not answering the call. And if you don't think they would have gloated on their side, are you kidding me?
No, I know.
Listen,
of course.
You think if they hate Trump now, wait till his policies start working.
No, he hasn't
What's
done anything yet,
then?
right? It's just the idea of his policies. Now, when I was in school, it was a Vietnam era, and there were, very intense demonstrations, but there was really something to demonstrate about. I mean, there was this vicious war in Vietnam. It wasn't being fought to the benefit of America, particularly the poor military that were thrown into the jungles over there weren't protecting them as we should. That's not why the kids were demonstrating. They just didn't like war. However, there was a big issue, and that's why college kids were demonstrating, and that's what happened then. Now, as you just pointed out, there really isn't any issue yet. It's just a matter of we don't like him, and we're not going to accept the election, or we're going to be disruptive even before the fact. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
They're missing the point, but here, you know what side I'm on. I would tell the kids and the Democrats in general to keep on doing what you're doing. I think you're onto something here, and I think putting Keith Ellison in charge of the DNC would be the best thing you could do. grab this opportunity and run with it, and run way out to the left, because you're starting to look like Gene Hagen's character, Lena Lamont, in Singing in the Rain, who didn't get how over her career was the moment Al Jolson's Jazz Singer came out. That's where the left is at right now. They're going to go further to the left. Well, good for them. I've got a lot of advice for them over there. They should run de Blasio or Podesta. Podesta looks he looks so charismatic. Why aren't you welding him? He would make sense to an arc welder in Erie, Pennsylvania. Obama, I don't know what he does now. Maybe host The Apprentice or become the fourth Dixie Chicks. I would just hang in on the left. It's coming for you. You can see it's coming around for you, and one day there will be a female president. Now, granted, it will be a transition man who is the first female president, but it's coming your way again.
Gene who in Singing with the Rain?
I think her name was Gene Hagen. She played Lena Lamont. Remember the blonde lady with the weird voice?
I just watched it last night, Miller. You're right on it, man. So I guess what you're saying is that you believe all of these protests and all of this stuff is going to hurt the crazy left in the long run.
Oh, no. It's good for them. Really, keep doing it. The more you do it, the better. It'll have you back in power in a second. You saw how America reacted last week. They want this. They need this. Break store windows in. Do all this. It's going to be good for your brand.
You know, I'm going to really float the idea of Barack Obama being the fourth
celebrities, too. More celebrities. You need more celebrities. By the way, Billy, which celebrity endorsement of Hillary do you think put Trump over the top?
Miley Cyrus, I think she did.
There you go. That might have been the moment. Keep doing it, Miley.
All right, Dennis Miller, everybody. A quick reminder, if you'd like the best Christmas and Hanukkah gifts on the planet, please check out the tickets to the Spin Stops Here live show starring Miller, Jesse Waters, and me. We'll see everyone in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Reading, Pennsylvania, Omaha, Nebraska, Tacoma, Washington, Westbury, Long Island. Tickets going very fast. Tacoma almost sold out. Info on BillO'Reilly.com. Back in the book segment tonight, What is World? As you may know, Senator Bernie Sanders appeared on The Factor once in a while before he became a big-time presidential candidate. Since then, he has rebuffed our quest to have him on. Now the senator has a new book, and there's no better place in the country to sell a book than here on The Factor. But he still won't come on. So we sent Waters out to a Sanders book signing.
Why do you think Trump won?
Well, because he tapped into like a lot of anger of the middle class and working class people.
I can't fathom why anybody would vote for him.
I think it was 1/3 white nationalism, 1/3 misogyny, and 1/3 economic struggle. Mix those into a blender, you get a Trump win.
That bass is blended just the way you like it.
Why did Trump win?
Trump, because those who made Bernie impossible made Trump inevitable.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you nervous for Donald Trump?
I'm not fond of him.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. See, Fiona, wasn't that bad?
Racist piece of Don't talk to this. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself. Thank you for poisoning the minds of America.
That you've been watching me.
Thank you for poisoning the minds of America. I don't watch you. I see you on the internet with all the other.
Thank you very much.
Get a real angle. You're a hack.
Why are you yelling at me?
I hope you got your segment.
Okay.
I hope you got your awesome segment.
What are you looking for? Trouble?
Jesse Waters with 2 T's. He's deplorable. This guy knows.
I think it's okay. I think we've had enough.
Thank you. Oh, he's everything wrong with this thing.
All right.
Get out of here.
Why do you think Trump won?
He spoke to people who felt ignored.
Do you ever feel ignored?
Yes, that's why I'm talking to you.
He's a nice man.
I think if Bernie was running, I think this would have been a landslide victory for Bernie.
Bernie should have run. He would have beat him.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Do you know any Trump voters?
I do. I think that they're just really anti-establishment, so they saw Hillary as kind of the establishment candidate.
This is the end of the establishment, and right now we got the evil trolls coming out and jumping around.
That is so insane, it kind of makes sense.
How much was the Bernie book?
29 and change.
Wow!
Worth it.
Worth it? Senator.
Sir.
Back in line.
No, she said we can distribute this.
You haven't been on the show for quite some time.
Sorry. No, we will not be doing this. Excuse me, no filming. Put the camera away. Put the camera away. You can touch it. And put your camera down, sir. Sir, either you will be... Excuse me, could we escort him from the event space?
You're out. Get out. Go on. Let's go.
Are you getting any girls with these pajamas?
I can't. No comment on that. I can't.
No.
I'm Waters.
All right.
And this is my world.
Awesome.
This is so scary.
All right, excuse Waters. Explain what happened now. So you go to Bernie and he's signing books, right?
Yes.
And they don't want you to talk to him?
You're not allowed to film the confrontation. You have to have an official photographer take the picture.
So you didn't have one?
No, I had a guy with a little phone to shoot this thing.
Now,
and
he looks like he's happy to see you. Do you think he had any idea who you are?
I think he kind of remembered me, but he had no idea there was a huge commotion behind him.
Now, when you said, hey, why don't you come on a Reilly Factor, what did he say?
He kept pointing to the camera. He said, you want a picture? You want a book signed? He just wanted to get me out of there.
Right, and we can understand that. Now, the one woman who really liked you, you know, in the little headband and everything, you know what I heard? CNN just hired her.
Yeah, she's the new 8 o'clock.
Yeah, she's a new.
You know what she really upset me, though? She said one thing. She said I wasn't good looking. And that's what really bothered me.
Well, you know, she's looking at you pretty intently there, Waters. So you have your makeup on. I don't know.
I know, heavy makeup.
You're looking pretty well. Yeah, how would you like to have her at Thanksgiving dinner? That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. All right, Jesse Waters, everybody. Nice job as always. One footnote: if you follow the Actor podcast with Robert Samuel, he has Willie Robertson on. Check it out on BillO'Reilly.com. Factor tip of the day: something we all need to do once in a while. The tip, moments away. Factor tip of the day, some good advice that'll help you physically and mentally in a moment. But first, I'm going to give you a quick preview of gifts that we now have in the BillO'Reilly.com Christmas store. First of all, premium membership gift certificates. For everyone you buy, you get one of my books free. So if you buy 5 memberships to give away as presents, you get 5 books. What a deal! We have We Say Merry Christmas doormats and Patriots Welcome doormats. They're nifty. Also, snappy ties, including the American Patriot tie. And let's see. Yeah, there they are. They're the pens, ties, the hats, you name it. Finally, signed copies of Killing the Rising Sun and the new children's book, Give Please a Chance, available on BillO'Reilly.com. All the money I get from the website is donated to charity. Now, the mail, Larry Berry, Slidell, Louisiana. I voted for Trump. What is the appropriate time to gloat? A more constructive strategy would be to explain your vote to folks who feel differently than you, Larry. The hearts and minds thing. Gloating doesn't get you anywhere. Natalie Leroy, Riverside, California. I'm a millennial, but I always vote. I'm not surprised many of my peers did not. Millennials are Americans ages 18 to 34. Only 50% of them voted. Mike Ziembowitz, Phoenix, Arizona. O'Reilly, you say most migrants are law-abiding, but they broke U.S. law by coming here illegally. That's true, Mike. They violated U.S. Code 1325. But sometimes desperation is the reason for that. I wouldn't call a person a criminal for illegal entry. That said, they must be held accountable by paying fines. Al Hoffman, Melbourne, Florida. Bill, if city officials do not obey federal immigration law, does that mean they can violate all laws they don't like? In theory, yes, Al. Anarchy is what these people are promoting. John Mulquin, Rio Communities, New Mexico. Pre-ordered Give Please a Chance. Can't wait to give it to our 5-year-old. Let me know how that goes down, John. Let me know how your 5-year-old responds to the book. James Patterson and I would like to thank everybody for making Give Please a Chance #1 on Amazon. Deborah Manning, Greenville, South Carolina. O'Reilly, my husband, and I are re-upping our BillO'Reilly.com premium membership, but are refusing to take the free book. We'll buy Killing the Rising Sun as a show of support. That's very nice, Deborah, but not necessary. Your membership fee covers the book, and you get a free Constitution, and I want you to have them. In fact, I'm going to send you a signed copy so you can pick another book. It's very nice. Raul Felder, New York City. Bill, is a historian. You are performing a great service to a new generation of Americans. Well, that's very kind of you, counselor, and right back at you. Your new book, Dancers on a Dark Street, is a fun read. Finally tonight, the Factor Tip of the Day. I'll be taking some time off beginning tomorrow. Necessary because I'm a little bit weary. We've been working really hard. I think we had excellent coverage of the campaign. Very proud of that. I told you that in another tip, but very proud of my staff and very proud that we were fair and accurate in our campaign coverage. Well, in my absence, the Factor will roll along. I want you to watch every night if you can. We'll have a variety of folks filling in, and I think you'll enjoy seeing some different faces in the chair. Now, here's a tip. Whenever you start to feel tired, rest. Sounds obvious, but many people push themselves far too hard. When you're tired, you make mistakes. Sometimes those mistakes are major. Everybody deserves a break. Take one when you need it. Factor Tip of the Day. And that is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, differentbilloreilly.com. Also, please spout off about the Factor, O'Reilly at foxnews.com. Name and town if you wish to apply. And word today, do not be a miscreant when writing to us. Again, thanks for watching tonight. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Please remember the spin stops here, so we're looking out for you.